How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on the Dixie for the daily, we do have a bit of a breakdown from our channel, so I would watch this closely. Remember, as Dixie decreases, typically crypto would increase, so it's kind of weird seeing crypto dip with Dixie today. We'll have to see if there's any kind of like CPI data going on soon in the next coming weeks. Our stochastic does want to round away, RSI is pulling back, momentum is starting to fall, the VWAP does want to break into the bearish territory, and the money flow is starting to break as a result. If that VWAP continues to break down, our blue wave, our momentum will continue lower, and our money flow will go from being green into the red, so I would exercise caution and watch that close. Over on the 4 hour, we did push down to our 300 EMA, so that was our strong support area. We did make a bounce, but now we're starting to get a pullback, so I would exercise caution. If we continue to see a pullback, Dixie likely would continue lower. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory. We are trying to break that neutral though, so I would watch. If we get higher high, that would be bad for crypto, because remember that inverse relationship. Our side does want to curl away. Our stochastic is falling with our orange above blue. Momentum is pushing down, so overall the bears do have control over us. Over on the 2 hour, we do have lower highs with lower lows. So right here, we do have a bearish trend forming after that breakdown. So that could have a bearish continuation. That bearish continuation would be ideal for crypto. We did push up to the 300 EMA here and we got rejected. So watch if we break our 300 EMA on the 4 hour. If we do break that 4 hour 300 EMA, then it's likely we would see Dixie break lower and we could see further play out. I would delete this channel breakdown though, because we pretty much got the full move today, so there's not much chance that we would see that breakdown more for that channel, but we could create other channels, or being in this bearish continuation that could bring us lower if we break those EMAs. Our VWAP does want to round away, momentum is pushing forward, money flow does want to gain a little bit of strength, so if that VWAP can remain bullish, our momentum will continue to push up and our money flow will start to reverse. Stochastic does want to round and our RSI is starting to pull back. Over on the 1 hour, we do have lower highs with lower lows here as well, so I would watch. This is more of a bearish continuation because the highs and lows don't connect very well. Our stochastic does want to round away, RSI is starting to pull back, the VWAP does want to break that neutral, so watch that yellow wave closely. If it breaks through the neutral, momentum will start to round away and that money flow will go deeper into the red. And we will see those higher time frames start to push down and a rejection of our EMA levels. So watch if we reject that green EMA at 5 EMA. If we do reject that EMA, then it's likely we are going to continue lower. Over on total for the daily, we got our full breakdown and then some, so I would exercise caution because this is pushing us out of our primary channel. Remember, that bigger channel could end up breaking us lower. So we do have a bit of a bear flag here. It's kind of hard to see within this other channel. You could draw up here. You could change your line colors if you want something a little easier to differentiate. We could change it to purple. There you go. So that was our channel that we broke away from. You could pull this bottom down. You could say we are retesting that area. That would push your breakdown a little lower. It wouldn't really change your breakdown too much. It could give us a slightly lower breakdown though. Our stochastic does want to round away, RSI is pulling back, that VWAP is in the bearish territory with momentum rounding, getting a red dot as that VWAP does want to break down. So if that VWAP continues to break down here, money flow will start to push lower, and then we will see this daily continue to break out this pattern, and we could end up breaking lower. Over on the 4 hour, we do have 2 touches to the bottom, 3 touches near the 2 touches to the top, 3 touches near the bottom. So I would watch. If we do not break down here and we meet support and continue forward, we could invalidate this breakdown. However, if we do start to reject and we pull back below this channel and get a retest with a rejection, it's likely we would continue lower. Our stochastic is favoring bearish, RSI is pulling back as a result. Momentum is in the bearish territory, our VWAP is breaking down and the money flow does want to break bullish. It is trying to become green. But with that VWAP favoring bearish, if it starts to round away here, our momentum could continue lower and our money flow could end up breaking us down. Over on the 2 hour, our momentum does want to push forward. We do have a double green dot. That double green dot does want to push us forward as that VWAP is trying to break through our neutral. If that VWAP can sustain bullish momentum, we could see momentum push forward and give our money flow strength that would in turn help push us back toward our golden pocket area. And if we can push into that area, we could see a quick run up. Our stochastic does want to push forward. Our stochastic does want to push forward, RSI is trying to round away, VWAP does want to break down, and our momentum is trying to push forward. But if that VWAP does break down, we will see momentum reject, and that money flow will continue to favor bearish. That will give us a further breakdown. Right now, we do have lower highs with lower lows here as well, and they don't really connect too well, so I would watch, as that could be that bearish continuation that could bring us below our pattern and give us that retest scenario. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we did get a bit of a push up, so we did see Bitcoin decrease ahead of total. So Bitcoin went down about 3%, total went down about 4%. So a bit of a difference there. That did give Bitcoin strength. That does show how dominance can increase even as Bitcoin decreases, and why it's not really good lead on if Bitcoin will go up or down. VWAP does want to pull back, money flow is starting to round away. Momentum does want to round with a red dot, and our stochastic does want to break down, so I would watch. If that stochastic rounds here, RSI will pull back, and we will see our Bitcoin dominance start to take a sell-off, and we could get lower highs with lower lows. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are still within this volume profile fixed, so we are trying to push lower, so I would exercise caution. We do have our value area low. That value area low could end up making us reject. We are seeing red candles below it. If we continue to see red candles below it, there are odds we would break down. We are filling our gapped area. That's what this big red channel is. So that is positive that we saw this breakdown. If we can manage to sustain and push forward from here, we could invalidate that push to 57K. However, if our VWAP continues to fall down here, momentum will weaken, money flow will pull back, and we will make that push down toward 57K. Again, if we don't get support there or support at our 52K, we can see this double top bring us all the way to 30K. Over on the 4 hour, we are starting to break down, so I would exercise caution. Stochastic does want to run up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP does want to gain strength, momentum is pushing up, and the money flow does want to gain a bit of strength as well. So we do look positive here. We need a bullish trend to form and a break forward. We also want to break and hold that 61.7. If we pull up to the 61.7 and we get rejected, then we could still see the bears push us lower. It just wouldn't be based off this double top, which kind of elongated itself, so you could draw it like this, and then we could still see that break away. We do have another gap below us, so ideally we would see some short-term losses, fill that gap, and then get that push forward. RSI does want to push up, stochastic is pushing up. VWAP does want to maintain a bullish trend, so watch with this higher high and higher low. Momentum could push forward, getting that double green dot, and that will continue to push that money flow higher, which could give us a trend reversal. If we get that trend reversal, remember the lower time frames would lead the higher time frames, so we could see higher time frames break up. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is trying to push down. RSI does want to round forward. Our VWAP does want to break bullish after getting a lower low. So watch that VWAP. If we get a lower high here with that lower low, and then we break for consistent or lower lows from there, we will see momentum remain bearish, money flow will break down, and price action would continue lower. That would give us that potential to break that 57. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, we did get a little bit of a rejection, so we did say we could see a rounding top the other day, and that is what we are seeing. Our stochastic is dropping away, RSI is pulling back, VWAP does want to round, momentum is starting to curl with a red dot, suggesting VWAP is breaking bearish, and that is bringing money flow lower, so the daily is back into a bearish trend. That isn't very positive. The lower time frames need to create and hold a bullish trend if we're going to push forward from here. RSI is pushing up, VWAP does want to gain strength. This is on our 4 hour. Stochastic is pretty beat down, so I would watch that. Stochastic needs to push above that 30 and hold if we're going to see RSI continue to be bullish. Momentum does want to push up, but that VWAP is struggling, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 2 hour, We do have potential for this to be a double bottom, so that would be positive. That would be counter to our double top. So you have a drop, a rise, a drop, and then we could have like a rise somewhere way off in the distance. And then your neckline would be about this resistance area. So we could take from that area to one of our points, apply that up, and that could give us a break toward our 66K range. Again, we're not very confirmed. We aren't starting to round forward. So watch if we can trade forward. If we can, then this would be a possibility. RSI is pushing up. Stochastic does want to gain strength. VWAP is bullish, pushing momentum slightly higher. And the money flow does want to push up. But if that VWAP breaks away, we would see the bears regain control, invalidate this double bottom possibility, and try to break us lower. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a dip here. So you could say this was our attempt to make a double bottom with that drop, a rise, a drop, and a rise. We did end up rejecting away. So you could say that may be played out. Or you could consider all this channel here one part of a bigger rise. Stochastic does want to push forward. Our RSI does want to gain strength, but we're starting to go flat, so I would watch. VWAP does want to push up. We do have a higher high after getting that lower low, so that could be positive, providing we stay above that neutral. Momentum does want to push up with a double green dot, so that could be positive, and that will give our money flow strength. If we push into the bullish territory and hold, we could start to see those higher time frames run up, and we could try to reclaim that 300 EMA and continue forward. Watch that EMA close. We need to break and hold it if we're going to get that double bottom possibility. So over on graph for the daily, we just nosedived away. We tried to get our break forward, and this is why you want to watch for your retests and watch for confirmation, because if you jumped in yesterday, you got wrecked. If you waited for today, you would see that that upside possibility got rejected, and we are starting to fill to the downside. So I would exercise caution. Again, this could push us toward that 16,316. Momentum does have higher lows. We do have a red dot though, as VWAP does have lower highs, and it's breaking for consistent lows. Watch that VWAP close. If it continues to break down, then momentum could start to push lower, and money flow will continue to break away. That would result in us pushing to the 16,316, and if we don't get bullish momentum there, we could see areas like the 14,316. So over on the 4 hour, we are seeing that break. So that green candle was our retest after getting a breakthrough. That was also the retest for our bullish scenario. So we got rejected on two fronts. We did reject away after that green candle, and we are continuing to slide. So I would watch. Overall, the bears do have some strong control. These EMA bands are starting to split apart very wide. So watch out, because as they start to split away, you do get more bearish trends, so you could end up doing some consolidation action and not going very far, just like back here, just like up here when they split to the upside, you do tend to get a run forward. So that's why it's important to watch when these bands start to cross over each other and hold. Our VWAP does want to break toward that neutral. Momentum is trying to gain strength. RSI is pulling back. Our stochastic does want to drop. That orange is above blue, but we are about as oversold as we can be. If we do not push above that 30 and hold, RSI will continue lower. That will bring price action lower, and we may see further breakdown. Remember, I wouldn't bet too on the full move down, because there's no guarantee you're going to get the full move just because there's the pattern. So over on the 2 hour here, we are seeing that breakdown after getting that retest. RSI is pulling back. VWAP is trying to break forward. Momentum does want to push with a double green dot. That does suggest our VWAP is trying to break bullish, that yellow wave. If it can break and hold, we could start to see our blue wave push up and give that money flow, the red wave, some strength to become bullish. But right now we are favoring bearish, so I would just exercise caution. Over on the 1 hour, we do have a pretty decent descending channel here. This may be more of a bullish descending channel because our lows and highs do connect pretty decent, unlike other channels we covered tonight. So measure from support to resistance or resistance to support. And then since this is a descending channel, that could push us forward. So that would try to push us toward that 20-cent area, not very much higher than we are, because it's a very narrow channel. The wider they are, the more you can break forward, but also the lower they could bring you in the short term. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is trying to gain strength. Our VWAP is slightly bullish, but we're starting to round. If that VWAP breaks through our neutral and gets a lower low with lower highs, we will see momentum remain bearish and money flow will continue to sell off. That would result in those higher time frames starting to break down and push even lower. So I would exercise caution if we don't see a trend reversal with that money flow. Over on Ankr, very similar to graph, we had this similar triangle and we did break away. We pushed down toward our 28.8 again. We did manage to hold. That is positive for us, at least in the near short term, but I would watch for a break of it. If we do break, remember this could take us below 2020. Stochastic does want to round away here. We do have the orange above blue, so that does give us a bearish cross, which could start to bring RSI lower. So watch that RSI close. As that red line pulls back, we will see price action follow. VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory. Momentum does want to round after getting that red dot. That did show that VWAP was breaking down, and our money flow is starting to pull back. So watch the lower time frames. They need to break into a bullish trend if we're going to see a push forward. Over on the 4-hour, we did get that retest of our channel, got a rejection, and now we hit our support area of our 28.8, and we are trying to push forward. Watch for this retest of our EMAs. If we can't break and hold these EMA levels, it's likely we could make a lower high, break this support level, and then we would continue to that 26.73. RSI does want to push forward as that stochastic is trying to bounce. If that stochastic can break and hold 30, that would be positive and help push us forward. But if that stochastic starts to round away, remember RSI could bring price action through that support level. Momentum is pushing down with a green dot, so momentum does want to round, but that VWAP isn't very decisive right now. That high isn't really breaking through very strong, so I would watch the next couple candles very close. Over on the 2-hour, we are starting to pull back after breaking above that EMA level. So if we do break below our green EMA and we start breaking lower, that would give that higher time frame, the 4-hour, further bearish momentum to break that support area we mentioned. Our stochastic does want to round away here. RSI is pulling back. The VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum does want to push up with the double green dot, and money flow is trying to gain strength. But if that VWAP does break down, we will see momentum remain bearish. So watch that VWAP close. We do have consistent lows with a higher high. If we can get higher lows from here, we could create a bullish trend that would give us our support to continue further. Over on the 1-hour, we do have a bit of a rounding bottom. We did fill a couple gaps here, so we had a gap here, a gap here. That does show why those gaps are 80% likely to fill and why you can revisit them later, like we are doing right now. VWAP does want to pull back. Our stochastic is trying to run forward. Orange is above blue, so that's a bullish cross. That is positive. That can push RSI further up. If they can remain in the overbought area, we could see price action run up. Momentum does want to push up. It is starting to round away though as that VWAP's pulling back, so watch that VWAP close. If it breaks that neutral area, we will see momentum reject, bringing money flow lower, and that would result in price action breaking down. So over on XRP for the daily, we are retesting our channel, so this could be very positive. Remember, after the retest, you want to see a green candle to push you up and give you that bullish confirmation. If we see a green candle tomorrow, we could start to push toward that value area low. And if we can break and hold that value area low by getting continued green candles, that could push us to our 54. But if we follow with a red candle here, we're likely going to push to our 45 area. And if we break that, we do have that 35 area as another support. Our stochastic is starting to round away here. RSI is starting to pull back. The VWAP does want to break down. Watch it very close. If it breaks down here, momentum will continue to round and money flow will start to break lower. That would result in us revisiting those lower levels. Over on the 4-hour here, we do have a manipulation X that did bring us lower after rejecting that EMA level there. RSI is pulling back. Our stochastic is dropping away. Momentum is breaking down. The VWAP does have lower lows with lower highs, so the VWAP is in a bearish trend, bringing momentum into a bearish trend. That isn't good because that could bring money flow lower and cause us to see a further breakdown. We are trying to push up toward the top of our channel, so this is where we need to break through and push forward if we're going to get bullish continuation. If we don't break through here and we see a rejection off this top, that's where we will see those support levels. Over on the 2-hour, we have several rejections of that 300 EMA. That does show why those EMAs are very important to watch, if I can get the word out. RSI is pushing down, VWAP is bearish. We do have lower lows with weak highs, so overall bears have control, and that is bringing us down. Momentum is breaking away, and the money flow does want to break down as well, so overall I would exercise caution here. Over on our 1 hour, we are overall breaking away. We did try to hold above that 300 EMA, and we did break and hold below it. We broke our EMA bands, and we continued to break lower. That's why when you break those bands to the downside, you typically will see that snap. So there's an example right there. RSI is trying to pull back. Our stochastic does want to push forward. VWAP is trying to break bullish, and momentum does want to gain strength. But if that VWAP breaks down, momentum will curl away and money flow would reject. So I would watch very close. We do have this rounding bottom, but we're starting to get some indecision and doji candles. So if we don't follow by a strong green candle and break resistance, we will still have that potential to continue lower here. Excuse me real quick, I'm sweating, so I'm thirsty. Over on ALGO for the daily, we have a very similar breakthrough as XRP. So we tried to break up, got rejected, and we are continuing lower. Stochastic is breaking down, RSI is pulling back, VWAP does want to round away, it's going to break toward that neutral, so watch close. If we break bearish on lower time frames, we will see that continuation to the downside here. Momentum is pulling back, and money flow is remaining bearish, so I would watch. If we break that 13.5, remember we could push to our 1032 if we're not careful. Over on the 4 hour, we did have that break forward. We got retest and continued up, but we hit EMA band and we got rejected, getting another retest and a breakdown. So I would exercise caution. This could end up breaking us lower, and then we could see this channel play out. It would bring us around that 12.5 that we would want to hold support at. Momentum is pulling back into the bearish territory. VWAP is breaking down, holding in the bearish territory as well, and money flow is bullish, but if that VWAP does not reverse, money flow will start to break down, and we will see that daily break lower. That would give us that potential to break it to our lower targets. Over on the 2 hour, RSI is pushing down, stochastic does want to push up, but if it doesn't gain traction above that 30, we will see RSI continue lower and price action will follow. VWAP does want to break that neutral, but it's very weak right now, so I would exercise caution. Our momentum does want to bounce forward, but overall we do look like we could continue lower if that VWAP makes that rejection. Over on the 1 hour, very critical area here, we broke that 300 EMA, we continued to the downside very quick, and now we are trying to reclaim toward that EMA. If we can't break and hold above it, we are going to continue lower. Stochastic is pushing up, RSI is starting to pull back, VWAP does want to break down, momentum is pushing forward, and the money flow does want to break toward that neutral, but if that VWAP does get another weak high, we could see that money flow reject, and that would lead to the higher time frames pushing down. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night.